Well, we reached the podcast. We're going to talk a little NHL hockey, and we have a first timer on the podcast. Anthony A-Towns. Anthony, how you doing today, my man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Eric. I'm pumped to talk some pucks with you.
You know what? I'm always looking for people to talk sports too. I always love having new people come on here, getting to meet people. And my eyes, this is what social media is about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bounce ideas off and just kind of see because I'm from you can learn anything. I've been reading NHL blogs and impressed. Oh my man, why don't you tell everybody your NHL blogs that you've been putting out?
Yeah, so a few years back, I started my website or blog, however you want to refer to it as, atownzone.com, mainly focused around hockey. Every day I go through the entire slate of every game, and I sit there and do a whole breakdown of each game, whether I'm betting it or not, just breaking down my expectations for it, comparing the two teams in each matchup, and then ultimately giving my picks on those games that I bet behind every night. I love gambling on the NHL. Most years, I have been successful. This year, I finished the regular season up around 95 units, I think, which is pretty good for everyday NHL betting.
My eyes is, dude, I know you're doing it right.
Anything over zero, right?
You know what I mean? You're in the green. You're doing it right. I mean, because it's a grind, and in my two hardest sports to bet, NHL and MLB.
Yeah,
two hardest sports. Anyone that can do good, you got my respect, my man.
Yeah, for me, I 100% agree with you on that. Baseball is by far the hardest sport to bet. But for hockey, I think I just watch enough of it. Like, even as we're recording, I got both games on in front of me. But I feel like I watch enough hockey that it makes it more natural for me. Where everything else.
Did you play growing up?
I played a little bit. I played rec league hockey. Never played any. I never played any travel teams or anything. I was just house league and stuff. I actually play lacrosse. Indoor box lacrosse is my main sport. And then hockey was just the fun, mess around kind of sport.
Okay. Now, you also talk beer. And,
yeah, I do.
Yeah. You know what? I could actually go for beer right now. Unfortunately, I don't have any in my my water bottle. Fortunately, fridge. You write a beer blog. Why don't you tell everyone where that came from and when those come out?
Yeah, so with the I do my what I call brew reviews. I try to post one every day. Sometimes, I'm also big into athletics and fitness, so drinking beers along with that every day doesn't go great. So I try to bank a lot of them, but usually I'll post one a day. And actually, the way I started that was when COVID first started and every sport shut down. I still wanted to make some kind of content where before it was entirely all gambling, mainly NHL with some PGA thrown in there. Every week I break down the PGA tournament for the week and give my whole analysis of that, which I approach completely differently than hockey. But I've been also pretty successful at that. I try to stick with what I'm decent at. You'll never see me posting basketball blogs or even NFL blogs, even though I watch the NFL every Sunday. I know I suck at gambling on it, so
that's why I don't bet baseball. Baseball is the one I struggle on the most, and that's why you'll rarely see me bet.
So baseball, I'll tail people and stuff like that, but I won't be making picks myself on baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically the same way.
But so when COVID started and there was no sports to write about, I still wanted something of content. And I like doing the video stuff, so I figured a quick 3-minute video reviewing all these crazy craft beers I get would be a fun thing to do. And then when sports started up again, obviously my main focus went back to writing hockey every day. But I still thought it was fun to do the beer blogs every day. So every day I try to review a nice craft beer.
Hey, you know what? I found them entertaining. I like them, and I suggest going out. No, give it a try. Because Anthony's bringing the content, and that's what it's all about. in to these NHL playoffs. The first series we're going to jump to. Now, granted, I didn't watch any of the game last night. I take that back. I watched it, and I just live bet the under of 9.5 the game, and went to bed. Avalanche against the Preds. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. They're a plus 115 to come out of the. That was damn impressive last night.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that especially with UC Saros out, at least for the first 2 games, and we don't know how many games he's going to be missing for the Preds. I figured without them, it would be a pretty easy series, at least. Like, I have the Avalanche to win it in 5 games or less, actually. So I figured it would be a pretty easy series. I by no means thought they would come out and score 5 goals in the first period. I mean, the Avs put on a clinic early.
Yeah.
They just wrote it out to win 7-2. You don't see that often in a playoff game. But, I mean, the Avs going into the playoffs were like plus 325 favorites to win the cup. Like, you can't even bet that at that kind of odds. Like, the fact that I think if UC Saros was expected to start for the Predators, who could steal a game or two, or I don't expect David Rittich to do that for them. Without that, I probably would have had 0 action on that series because there's just no value behind any of it. But the way that they impressed yesterday, like, I'll definitely jump right back on. Yesterday, I had 1.5 units on the Avalanche team total over 4, which hit less than a period in. So I'll definitely be jumping back on that again. Betting on the Avs, even like just in regulation, is so expensive that I'd rather tackle it with the team total. But especially if David Rittich starts again for the Predators, I'll be all over that all over that Avalanche.
Yeah. Now,
all over, and probably the game over as well.
There 2 things. Number one, you mentioned win 4-1. Preds are going to be a dog, even at home.
Yeah.
Do you think the strategy going into game three look to bet a first period, like Preds first period, or Preds game, or you can probably even get minus 120 or plus on the puck line of plus 1.5? What should be our strategy when the Preds go home?
So I expect the Preds to go home down 2-0 in the series, which really isn't a big deal. Like, I mean, they always say that a series doesn't start until you lose at home, which I'm kind of neutral on that. I feel like you do sort of have to steal a win sometimes in the first few games, depending on the matchup. But the way I would bet the Preds would be entirely dependent on if UC Saros is confirmed back in goal again. I think goalies are a huge part of betting hockey.
Okay.
So if for some reason he starts,
your advice is for the people watching or listening to this, as soon as he announced in goal, look to back the Preds.
Yeah, I wouldn't back the money line. I would probably go with the puck line, like you said, or we'll just stay off of a side and just go with the team totals on probably the Avalanche and then the over. If I'm on the Avalanche team total and I expect the Preds to be able to steal away a win, I think they have to do it in like a 4-3 kind of grind of a game.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I think I would rather bet the over. I just think that the Avalanche are such overwhelming favorites in that series that I could see them sweep. But the puck line gives you a little more safety there, where if you could get it at around even money or even minus 130-ish, it's probably worth that.
There's still value there.
Yeah.
The next series we're going to, and hey, someone here has the Blue 50-1, man. Blues against the Wild. They actually we're recording this. We're actually live now on Twitch on Wednesday night, and that puck is dropping a little less than an hour from now.
Yeah, I think 50 minutes.
Yeah, 50 minutes. Impressive 4-0 win for the Blues.
Yeah, that one kind of surprised me. I had the Wild in game 1, especially in Minnesota. And like you said, it was a completely impressive game. I mean, David Perron scoring a hat trick and then Billy Husso getting a shutout against a really good Wild team.
Yeah.
Shocked me. That was actually my most anticipated series of the first round. It still is. I think that's by far the best matchup. And I feel bad for either Wild fans or Blues fans. Like, whoever gets eliminated from that series could have gone on a run to win the Stanley Cup.
Now, do you feel whoever wins this series has a shot against Colorado?
I do, actually. I just think the West is so heavy. I know we haven't gotten into it yet, but like, I think Calgary is a dark horse to win this. Not even a dark horse, but I think Calgary has a really good shot at winning the Stanley Cup. I'm sure we'll touch on that series as well. But the Wild Blue series, I think either of them could easily go to the Western Conference Finals and give the Avs a good series. For some reason, there's just something about the Avs where I think they obviously could win the Stanley Cup. Anyone that watches hockey sees that. But for some reason, if I had to pick a team to win the cup, it wouldn't be them.
Now this is my thing. Now tell me if this statement makes sense. I feel with who they already have won a cup by now.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? So are they just built for the regular season, or like they can piece it together to able to win these series?
I feel like they're going to have a tough go at it. Like, I don't think, like I said earlier, I don't think they're worth the plus 325 to win the cup. Like, I think to get through 4 series against the best teams in the NHL, that's tough to do.
And something they haven't done. I mean, they haven't even made a yet.
Yeah, you're right. They haven't won.
They haven't even made a final. And I don't know. Like, I just kind of, part of me when I look at them, I feel it's a team I want to target to fade, just because they've shown me they can't do it. They can't do it in the playoffs. I think they're just a regular season team, as crazy as that sounds.
That's actually how I feel about the Leafs more than the Colorado.
Oh, I feel the same way about the Leafs. Did you bet the Lightning tonight?
I did bet the Lightning tonight. I did not.
I did too.
They're up 2-0 right now.
I did too. We'll get to that reason this.
But yeah, I mean, I sort of agree with you that the Avs could be like a built to dominate the regular season kind of team. But like, they got better in the offseason, bringing in Darcy Kemper in goal to replace Phil Grubauer, I think was a great move for them. And Kemper was great in goal this season for them. It's just, can they put it all together at once? Like, if their offense is firing like it was last night, scoring 7 goals in a Stanley Cup playoff game, is their defense and their goaltending going to hold up to be able to do that again? And put it all together for 4 series. Like, it's a long run to win the Stanley Cup, and they got to put it all together. Like, I think if they don't do it this year, or at least don't make a real good run at it, like go to at least 7 games in the Western Conference Finals, even if they lose that, I wouldn't say it's a failure of a season, but they have to put it all together to be able to win eventually, because this is going to expire. There's going to be like, as soon as that first line of Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen, I think, is the other one on that line. As soon as that's gone, and then their back ends get paid, like, they're going to lose guys in the next few years, just like Tampa.
Yeah, their window's closing.
Like, capitalize on that and win the cup. Otherwise, it's going to be a disappointment for them and their fans. But if there's ever been a season that they look like they could win the Stanley Cup,
it's definitely now. You mentioned Flames. Flames, they won game 1 on Tuesday against there's 1-0. Early goal, and just kind of a defensive grind. You're very high on this Calgary. Do you think the Stars have a shot in this, or do you think this is going to be like a 4-2, 4-1 Flames type thing?
No, I mean, I do think the Flames win it in 5 or 6 games. I do think the Stars will get at least a win at home. And even yesterday's game was real close. I mean, a 1-0 grind of a game you're only a shot away with like dumb luck to if you get like a quick little tip in of the puck that the goalie has no idea is coming. That's a tie game, and then who knows what happens.
Yeah.
So I had the Flames in regulation yesterday, and it was a sweat for me to watch. But I do have them to win the series in 6 games. That's actually my heaviest series bet. I have 3 units on that one. And the way I structure series bets, I usually do a larger series bet and then kind of pace after it each game. I think Dallas just plays boring hockey to me. Like, they don't score a whole lot. They're in the bottom third of the NHL in scoring. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what it was. I broke that down in a blog earlier this week. And then their defense isn't all that spectacular to me either. So I do think Calgary wins it in 6 games. But a few years ago, in the bubble, when Dallas went to the Cup Finals against Tampa and lost, when Tampa won their first Cup, their first Cup out of these 2 in a row.
Yep.
I didn't think Dallas had a chance at all to make it to the finals, and they went on a great run to do it. So could they capture that like magic in a bottle again? I just don't see it. Just the way that they
series, but not like long term.
Right. I think they could win a game or 2, but they're not going to do anything down the stretch. So I don't really give them any chance to win the series. I just think they could steal a game or 2 away. In that kind of slow, grinded out kind of game. And I think that's more of an indicator too on the Flames and how good the Flames are. Like, the Flames offense is incredible. Like, that first line of Lindholm, Tkachuk, and Johnny Gaudreau, those guys all scored 40 goals this season. Like, that's unheard of for.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
40 goals each. Is crazy. And then you look on their back end, and they're they allowed the second fewest goals in the NHL, second or third fewest goals. I don't know if they finished second or the Rangers finished second, but close up there, top 3 in fewest goals allowed. And then Jacob Markstrom, if it wasn't for Igor Shesterkin on the Rangers, Markstrom would be the easy Vezina winner this season as the best goalie in the NHL. I mean, the guy had like 9 shutouts this year and just did it in game 1 of the playoffs yesterday. That's huge. So I just think Calgary has everything all put together so well. And Daryl Sutter, I think, should win Coach of the Year out there. And just everything cohesively in the way they play. I know that a cup hasn't gone to Canada since the 80s, I want to say.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while.
The 90s, I can't remember exactly. But I think if there's any team that's going to do it lately, Calgary has a great chance to do it this season. They're another one that there's not a ton of value in either. Like, I mean, plus 600 or plus 650 going into the playoffs, not great betting wise when you got to go through 4 series. That's just not type of future I like.
If they get going, like hypothetically, they're going to start as dogs, the Flames. If they lose the game 1, you're going to be able to give them at a great price.
Yeah,
to win
that. They're a good spot to jump on.
Like betting wise, that's kind of how we have to look to bet teams like the Flames or the Avs. They get down in the series price or look at the future market.
And to go on that even more, I mean, Toronto just scored there. To go on that even more, like the Flames have to play the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Finals, most likely, if another team doesn't knock off the Avs. So that's a really tough Western Conference Finals series. If that happens, that could arguably be a better game than the Stanley, or a better series than the Stanley Cup Finals, depending on
exactly. Next one
last year to me.
My baby Kings cashed a nice little plus 166 for me in the opening game against Edmonton. Edmonton had a blunder to lose the game. There's certain teams like watch, and I just say to myself, I don't trust you. Yeah,
so I felt that's yesterday. I lost on the Oilers game yesterday, but was that game yesterday? Yeah, Monday. I mean, I fell into that Monday, lost on the Oilers, but that was the best game on Monday night by far.
Oh, by far. But I guess my point is this: if you look at roster, the Oilers roster, the Kings roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my point. And I just feel that the Oilers, like they're not as they should be. I guess that's my statement.
Right. So I see the Oilers very similar to how I see Toronto, but at a lesser level. So I think Toronto is a better team overall than the Oilers, but I've said it before, and so I'm a big Sabres fan, and like we wanted McDavid more than anyone. Like we tanked for McDavid, did the whole like the McDavid Eichel kind of comparison. And although McDavid's made the playoffs a few times with the Oilers now, and the Sabres haven't made the playoffs since 2011, well before the McDavid and Eichel year, Oilers still haven't gotten out of the first round. And I think there's a clear-cut reason for that. Like, I don't think they're choking. I just think the way the Oilers are built is just bad. Like, they're definitely playing better since Jay Woodcroft took over as their head coach. But like they have McDavid and Draisaitl, who are two of the best players in the entire league, but they don't have enough depth behind them. And like Evander Kane's playing good since he got there. And Mike Smith played great in goal for them in just the closing stretch of the season. But their defense was bad. Their goaltending was bad for most of the season. That even though I took the Oilers to win this series and knock off the Kings, I don't see them getting past that. Like second round, no matter who they would match up with, I would be betting against the Oilers. Like I just don't think the Oilers are a good enough overall team. One player can't win a Stanley Cup. One player can't even win a series. So, like, even if McDavid and Draisaitl take over a game and somehow find a way to win, when you have a bad back end and you have bad goaltending and there's no scoring depth behind your first line, you're just not going to win that way. Like, that's just not how hockey works, where like you said, I just don't trust the Oilers whatsoever. I did take them to win the first round. I just think I think LA is a really good matchup for them. And
hey, I had LA plus 400 to make the playoffs, so I'm ecstatic that future hit.
Yeah, and I listened to your pre-playoffs pod with I forgot what his name is.
Jason.
Like the value he got on some of his futures are insane. Like that's awesome that you guys have those to ride out. So that's huge that you guys have those prices. I would love to have that on Florida. I know we haven't touched on that series yet. But yeah, I agree with you. Like I think LA is just a good matchup for the Oilers to be able to beat in the first round. But after that, I don't see a whole lot out of the Oilers.
Now we're going to shift to the East. It's kind of hard right now because when we're recording, kind of how can I say this? How the whoever wins this game between Boston, China, and Toronto, and Tampa Bay is going to kind of determine where he goes in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. Can we go back though to the Wild Blue series? We didn't really touch on that enough. I think. Can we go back into that?
Yeah, we can go that. What do you need to touch on?
So that was easily my most anticipated series of the playoffs, or of the first round rather. I actually have that series to go 7 games, and I have a few props on them as well for both the Blues to win it in 7 games exactly, the Wild to win it in 6, and the Wild to win it in 7. So I really want, and Tampa just scored again. Let's go. So the way that the Blues dominated game 1 on the road in Minnesota, I don't really see that happening tonight. I expect Minnesota to get that win back tonight, and even the series going to St. Louis. And then they have to steal a game away in St. Louis, I think. But I think that could be another really good betting opportunity. Like if the Wild tie up this series, they should still be a live underdog to win the series without home ice in games 3 and 4. So I think there's a lot of ways that we could bet that, but I'm really anticipating tonight's game there. Like, I think that's a very evenly matched series that could go either way, but I'm just hoping it goes 6 or 7 games, hopefully 7. In a really good matchup.
On the Rangers Pens game.
Yep.
Inning game.
Crazy game.
Pens completely overachieved. I didn't think they were playoffs. How can I say this? Did they just overachieve and this is their season now? Or do you think this team could get through the Rangers? But I mean, beating the Canes or the Bruins, I think would be a lofty goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and we haven't touched on it yet, but I think Washington was definitely the weakest team to make the playoffs out of the East. But the Penguins are right behind them. Like, I actually thought the Penguins would end up in the second wild card spot there. But yeah, I think that is their ceiling. Like, even if they make it out of this series against the Rangers, and I think they stole away game 1 in New York last night, like the triple overtime winner after a goal got disallowed on goaltender interference, where the guy got bumped into the goalie late in the third period for the Rangers. Like, I think that's such a coin flip of how that happens, especially when it goes into the third overtime of the game. Like, that's almost 2 full games that these teams played. That's just at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree with you, and especially if their goalies, like, they're similar in Nashville where they're missing Jari. I just don't see Smith, and especially Louis Domingue, being able to pass this Rangers team with Igor Shesterkin in goal. I don't really have a whole lot of expectations for the Rangers either, though. I think the Rangers are still a few seasons out and maybe a couple years out from being a cup contender, or maybe even next year, depending on how they retool and who they add in the season. But yeah, I would agree with you that, like, if the Penguins do get past the Rangers, I would credit that entirely on that, like, veteran leadership of Sidney Crosby, who I still think is the second best player in hockey, and really the second best player of all time too, behind Gretzky. Second current behind McDavid. Like, if Crosby, Malkin, Rust, and that offensive core take over and find a way to win that series, I think it's probably a bounce in the second round.
I agree 100%.
And the Rangers, I think, have a great core that they're going to build on and really be
like you said,
future.
But they're a couple years away. You know, they're ahead of schedule. You know what I mean? They're ahead of schedule. Yeah.
If I was a Rangers fan, I'd be thrilled with where they are now, and they should win this series. I just don't see them going much farther than another series, maybe.
We're gonna, like I said, the Canes are up 4-1 right now. Tampa up 3-1. It's how we're gonna attack these series kind of depends on what happens these games. We're gonna kind of skip over those. We're gonna go up to the Capitals right now. Shocker of the first round. Shocker.
Big time.
Caps. WTF? What happened?
Yeah. Like,
I missed the game.
I was huge on Florida yesterday.
Like, what happened?
Yeah, and I mean, their offense, the Florida offense is incredible. Like, I think Florida's a wagon. Every aspect of the game, I think Florida's good at. Like, their offense was by far the best in the NHL this season. In the regular season, like 4.14 points, goals per game. That was easily the best. I think Toronto was second with like 3.8. So it was a significant step up in offense for the best offense in the NHL. But the one thing lacking for the Florida Panthers is that team and that franchise has not won a playoff series in I want to say since the early 2000s.
It's been a while. It's been also, remember, Quinn was there, and then all that black stuff came out.
Yeah, and that blew it up, and they did.
Like, because he has the championship pedigree coaching the Blackhawks.
Absolutely.
Does him not being there affect this?
I don't think it does. I feel like that they're a good enough team overall that they could win the Stanley Cup. It's just they need to put it all together. And during the regular season, I think they led the NHL in comeback wins. Like, there were so many games. Like, I was watching them night in and night out because they were just so much fun to watch. And I kept betting them every game. Like, I would be on overs. I would be on their money lines, regulation lines, team totals. I was hitting Florida every way possible just because they're an electric team in every aspect of the game. Even their defense and goaltending is really good too. Like, I mean, Spencer Knight and Sergei Bobrovsky are two really good goalies. Their defense in front of them is great. Now they got Aaron Ekblad back for the playoffs. But really what ultimately let them down yesterday in game one was their incredible offense only put up 2 goals. I mean, even with last night I had their team total, I had them win in regulation, and I had them and I had the game over, which was a goal short of hitting. So triple loser on that one for me. But like the way that they just couldn't put it together to score more than 2 goals on home ice against a very inexperienced goalie in Vitek Vanacek
is disappointing.
That's bad. So they better figure that out game 2. I'll probably actually be on the same exact bets again for game 2. But if Florida doesn't win in game 2 at home and they go to Washington, D.C. with Alex Ovechkin going up against them, like
that's tough.
Great. So that might be a spot where if Florida loses game 2, I might try to hit some. I do have Florida to win the series in 6 games or less, but if they lose game 2, I'm going to be all about Washington. I think that should still have some good value to it. I would guess that's probably pick them if they're down 2-0. I mean, going into that series, I think they were minus 400 favorites to win it.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. It may be like a 120, 150, something like that. So
if that's the case, I'll be all over the Caps to hedge out of that. But I just don't anticipate that happening. I do think Florida definitely comes out firing hot. Their offense needs to get going. That's another one, like you said earlier. I can't remember which series you said it. I think the Colorado one. To maybe target first period props, like first period overs or even first period team totals. Those are just set at 1.5. So that would definitely be something I would look at for Florida tomorrow. That could probably have some value to it.
Cool. Anthony, man, dude, total rock star. Thank you for guys. Make sure you give him a follow. He's giving out content every single day. Hockey blogs are insane. Remind Anthony where they can find on Twitter.
Yeah, so my website's atownzone.com, atownzone. And that's the same thing on Instagram and Twitter. And also, if you ever have any questions or anything, like if I don't get into a specific topic on a game and someone sees something in a game that they have a question on and want to run it by me, just feel free to send me a DM either on Instagram or Twitter. Twitter's probably the easier one to get a hold of me on, but always open to that. And thanks, Eric. I had a blast coming on this podcast and talking some hockey.
This is awesome, man. Definitely going to have you on again. Guys and girls, make sure you're giving me a follow. And maybe in a couple of weeks, we can have you back on again, my man.
Sounds good. And yeah, maybe we could talk some PGA sometime too.
Oh, for sure, man. Let's hope the Lightning close this out, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, they're up 3-1 right now, so that's pretty solid score. We didn't really touch on those 2 series, but going back to Boston, I'm not too concerned with the Bruins going into that game down 2-0 at home. I mean, a series really doesn't start until you lose at home. If Carolina wins game 3, though, Boston's probably done. The Bruins are probably over. And then Tampa and the Leafs, I think that series could go 7 games, and I still give the Leafs like I just don't trust them. Like
they're in the so you just can't trust them, my man.
Yeah, and like if Tampa steals this game at home or in Toronto rather, and they go back home with a 1-1 series, I don't think Toronto's coming back from down 3-1. So
okay, my man. Thanks for the insight, and we'll talk soon, brother.
Thanks, Eric. Much appreciated. Peace.